Hello, everyone. Welcome to DAT 1321. This is an overview of sort of the class logistics. You'll see the video you clicked on is not here yet because it hasn't been posted yet, but what you're looking at will probably look something like this. So we want to go over that logistical info here because, as we will go over in a minute, our class is not as long and we want to spend that time on other things. So first up, we are going to be using Blackboard a lot. Blackboard is going to be the landing zone and nexus for everything that we do in this class. Your announcements page is going to be used a lot, so I'm going to be switching back and forth to like the one from last semester just so you can see. And I posted already some updates about, how to get the Maya license and information about the class, but there are going to be videos every week. There's going to be potentially information about snow days and the spring semester, the information about workshops. Anything that is super, super timely and important, like some of these early announcements, they will be sent to your email. So please make sure you are checking your school email for these things as well. Next up, our syllabus is online. There we go. Bunch of general information at the top. My email, very important. I check my email quite often. I do have a class actually, no, I'll go over that in the other video. So we have, this is not my phone number. This is a phone number to a different office because adjuncts do not have phones on the campus. Class time, actual CRN and name of class, etc., etc. Some basic information. There's no textbook. The only required material is some sort of way to store your work, whether that's a flash drive, a hard drive, Google Drive. You have to find a way to store your work that works for you. You are responsible for backing it up. You are responsible for keeping track of it. We will go over course delivery in a moment and grading for this class. That's actually in the second video. Real quick, we have a breakdown of our class or our what counts for what in class. So about 15% approximately is class participation. There are two classes that we have presentations we give. There's a lot of extra points in those. Most of this class, though, is what you do. So a lot of it is these weekly assignments and exercises and homework. And there are two big projects, the midterm and the final. You do have several weeks across both of those. So we're going to skip ahead to that. So this is the week-to-week schedule. Things in bold are the bigger homework assignments. A couple of them are a little bit smaller. You can see the midterm, we get a couple weeks to work on that, and the final, we get a few weeks to work on that. The first part of the semester is fairly relentless. We just have so much to learn. Our midterm actually happens kind of late in the semester, I think, compared to some others, because there's just too much to get through. So we'll go over stuff, during class. You'll have a walkthrough video to get you started on the homework, and then it would be due the next week. We have a spring break, which happens. I kind of wish it happened right after the midterm, but this is where it is. Midterms, I don't assign any work the day we present midterms because I want to give you all a break. These two dates in purple, those are going to be when we have our presentations. There's no making these up, right? So if you happen to miss, Hammer Part 1 lecture, that video would be available. You'd be able to review it. You'd have also the homework walkthroughs available. There's a lot you could do, not necessarily make up the points, but at least to make up the work, the learning. We don't record the presentations. They're too personal. There's too much crosstalk. We don't record those, so you really, really, really need to make it to those. If there is some extreme emergency or something, please let me know. We will work on a way to make it up. But generally speaking, this is not a day where we can just decide not to come to class. So that day and the final project presentation, there are participation points both for you presenting and for you being present and interacting with your classmates and giving feedback to them. Let me see here to go back up a moment. So yeah, absences and attendance. I don't do whether attendance and absences or whether absences are excused or inexcused. You're either there or you're not. If something large and extenuating happens, you should contact your advisor and our department head, as well as me, and we will work on something. But generally speaking, if you're not going to be here, please let me know ahead of time so I know not to, be waiting if it seems like there's a lot of people not here. And it is your responsibility to get caught up on any of the work that you have missed. Speaking of, so let's go to our class, and I just realized I gotta make this live. One moment. Okay, through the magic of pausing, I was able to just go and make this live. So our virtual classroom will be here, and let's see. So we can see virtual classroom DAT 1, 2, 3, 2. Although actually that's not our name; it's 1, 3, 2, 1. So I'll change that. Um, and the top one will be the one that's live. You would click here, and there would be a join button. So this is how you would log into the class in order to view it remotely. Even if you are in class in person, there are recordings of everything I do in class. So that would be coming to virtual classroom, going to the hamburger menu, and going to recordings. These will populate less than an hour usually after we're done, but not before that. And I'll usually label them, with what happened that week. These are going to look like they disappear after a month. They don't. You just have to say recordings and arrange and choose a wider range of stuff. So these will be here throughout the whole semester should you ever need to review anything. All right. So this class is hybrid. So we have two different situations. We have the live remote / on ground, and we have the hybrid. We'll do the second one first. So the live remote / on ground means whether you are present at the school or coming in remotely, it's the same class, right? So the one you're listening to remotely from the virtual classroom is the same one I'm saying out loud to people in the classroom. It's recording my screen, which is also being projected to people in the classroom. So you have two options for attending class. Those of you who like to be there in person, or need to use the computer lab, you show up right in the classroom. We're there from 3:30 to 5, and all the software and hardware is there. And will often be an education assistant present. So we have someone working with us this semester, who will not always, but often be there to help answer any questions. But you will note that while you are there, I am often right next to the computer because I'm having to talk into it, and there's no real way for me to like walk around the room too much unless there's a major question that needs answering. Option 2 is that you're attending remotely. So you work from home, you log into this virtual classroom, you watch what I'm doing, and either click around or not on your own computer. If you are working from home, you have to figure out your equipment situation. Are you taking something from the library? Do you have your own? You have to figure out your software situation. So we have information on getting a Maya license. More on that in 1 second, but we do that is for you to manage. It also means that you can't just like log in later on and watch the video. It is expected that you will be there synchronously, right? That is a part of our class is asynchronous. More on that in a second. But this part of the class, this lecture from 3:30 to almost 5, usually kind of 5, that's you're expected to be there because it's not just me lecturing. There's people asking questions. We're having discussions. We are working our way through some material, and it's not the same if you're not there. The expectation is that you will be there for those classes, and I will be noting who is there and who is not. The hybrid portion of this class. So this is a shorter class than usual for DAT. Because everyone works so differently. This is a much higher level class. Like 3D is more complicated. And so the walkthroughs of the homework are actually posted as that's not it as videos. So this is the previous semester, and you can see in week 2 there is a walkthrough video. So our assignment that week, we will have the way it goes down is that let's see, week 2. So we will have a lecture on components and intro to polygons and the viewports and stuff like that. And as we're not working on the homework during that. We are just learning about the tools separately, and people are asking questions, and we're discussing how this might do that, and things that people have seen out there in the world. How did they make that kind of stuff? And then the assignment will be the fancy box. And I might do a little bit, early weeks I might do a little bit in class, later weeks maybe nothing at all. And the rest of the walkthrough for the homework is here, right? This is the more detailed part of this. This is especially true in later weeks with the hammer. We don't do the hammer in class. That is there's a shorter videos, but they are shorter videos. There's also a PDF if PDF is something better you learn by. But this would be in a longer class, this would be the walkthrough portion. But because so many of you are remote and because everyone works at wildly different speeds, we made half the class asynchronous that you could work in your own time. So if you need to watch a video all the way through and then start your homework, that's what you would do. If you need to watch a video a little bit, then do that part, then watch a little bit, then do that part. That is how you would work. So lots of options for how you can work because some of this is asynchronous. The expectation is that you will be watching these. So the homework expectations, though they are spelled out, let me see if I get here. Homework expectations are going to be spelled out in the assignments area. There's student examples there, right? Like you can see that there's write-ups here, but the walkthrough shows you the shape of it. The walkthrough does show you how a lot of that works. So if you're not doing that, you're missing part of the class. And I'll know you're not doing it because the homework will be done wrong. And I can tell when people aren't doing it by the questions that they're asking. So it is expected that you will watch these at least once. Now, if you have any questions, please, please, please email me. That's stand by. I don't know how that happened. Please, please, please email me. I'm not mean. I love answering questions. We have a week between classes, which is an eternity. And especially if you get stuck on your homework, I want to hear from you. It's very, very important that you reach out. But if you don't watch any of the videos and then just try it and wonder why it's not working, that's why. Also, if you miss class, so let's say you've missed a class, which happens. It is your responsibility to first watch the Collaborate Ultra video, which again will be under recordings. It will be right here. And then go to the announcements page and you will see which videos are up for that week. And the homework assignments will be under assignments. It will be up to you to at least put in some effort to look into these things, and then ask questions, specific questions as you have them, rather than if you miss class, let me know. But I don't want to hear people reaching out saying, what do I do? This is what you do. You watch the class you missed. There's videos that go with the homework, and you can read about the homework assignment. And then should you do that and you have a question about the homework, by all means ask. All right, speaking of assignments, so if I click on the assignments tab, there's a few different kinds of things that you will find in here. For example, there might be information. So this is a hotkeys map of the software that we're going to be using. This is a later week, but sometimes there are files that we will use together in the lecture, and so I want us all to start from the same thing, and so I will provide those. And then there will be homework assignments that will have quite a lot of information spelled out for you. So this is going over what we did during class. Early weeks, we do some of the walkthrough together, and then there is a list of things you can do to improve the assignment. I usually try to have the due date right here, and we will click on this, and you can also see the due date listed there, how many points it's worth. There's a couple of support files that go with it, and you would submit it here. We will review in class how to submit files. One of the key things here is that there are expectations. The next video will talk about this more, but some of the expectations are spelled out in class verbally, but a lot of them are put right here. When you are submitting stuff, please make sure to put your name in the file, like on the actual file, so that I will know whose is whose, because when I download them, they are just labeled with the name of the assignment, and then I get 15 solar systems. All right. So another thing I want to discuss is due dates, which I'll talk about that while I fix the due date for that one because it's bothering me. So all of our assignments will usually have the due dates listed both here and in the like formal assignment. Do not look to the syllabus for those. Those are usually, not they could change, right? We could have a snow day, something could happen. But due dates are very important. They're what we consider a soft skill. So hard skills are click here, do this. This is vector versus bitmap, that kind of stuff. But soft skills are things that help us work with a team, that help us work better with our collaborators and or people that work in different departments, that kind of thing. So these are very, very important. So we want to make sure we're handing stuff in on time and completed. Please do not let perfection be the enemy of the good. Do not let it freeze you. Get your stuff in. We're trying to cultivate that skill of managing our time. So that is a part of what you are doing in this class. Also communication. If you have trouble with an assignment, if you're looking through everything and you watch the videos and you still have a question, ask me that question. Ask a specific question. Don't just say I don't understand. Ask a specific question. I would love to answer it for you. So let's go back up here. Yeah, so if you watch the video on the box and you were in class and you still have questions, I want to answer them. If you're really struggling, we could maybe set up a Zoom meet, to talk about things. But it's up to you to know when you've hit a wall and then reach out to me. I'm not mean, I promise. It's up to you to also start to recognize what this means in your work. So we're learning how to look at 3D stuff for the first time, and we need to learn how to assess our work. So if I've got a little explainer here that says the relative size of the planets, and Jupiter's the biggest, Saturn's a little bit smaller, Neptune are a little bit smaller than that, these ones are the smallest, and if I've got expectations that things be labeled and placed around. And then I say in class, by the way, the larger planets move slower than the inner planets. Those all go into what's expected here. So if you've got all your planets the same size, you should be able to look at that and say, oh, there's something missing. If you only have 4 planets and no moons, you should be able to look at that and say that's something missing. It is up to you to assess your work and know if it is complete, or decide if it's as complete as you are going to make it. So when it comes to handing work in, if you have a specific question, how do I get that one moon in there? How do I label this thing here? Love to answer it. If you would like specific feedback, what do I think of the animation here? Is it too fast? Is it too slow? How do well, we don't have animation in this class, but look at the colors. Is this a good assortment? How is this working? I will answer that as well. What I will not do is tell you if it's good enough or if it's done, because we are trying to cultivate that as a skill. You will assess your own work and you will submit it to me when you think it meets the standards that I have taken the time to spell out here. So again, specific questions, love to answer. If there's a struggle, if there's something technologically that's getting in the way, I want to help you troubleshoot that, get through that, get over that so you can get to the making of stuff. And I will give you specific aesthetic feedback on any number of things. But what I will not do is give a stamp of approval before you hand it in, right? This is something that, again, we need to start looking at our own work critically. Likewise, these due dates that come up for these things as we go through, let's go back to our thing here. So it's better to hand in what you have when you have it when it's done, like when the due date comes up. What you do not want to do is wait 7 weeks and then hand in the week 2 assignment, right? For several reasons. Number one, that can get away from you very easily. So from like a management perspective, if you let this many assignments go by and then try to get them all together, that's going to be very difficult for you. But also, these are all sequential. What we learned in week 1 lends itself to week 2, which feeds into week 3, et cetera, et cetera. This is not unrelated stuff. It is chronological. And if you skip certain weeks and then try to get done, like, oh, we're at this week with the hammer and the pallet, they're not going to be very doable because you won't have done the groundwork. But also, when we're working in week 2, Fancy Box, there's very few tools that we know yet, right? Because it's only week 2. If you complete this down here, not only is it extraordinarily late, you've got a whole host of other tools that you can use that nobody had that handed it in on time up here, which means if something is more than a couple of weeks late, it will only be partial credit. So keep that in mind as you are deciding how to allocate your time. This is a class that does not do well with falling behind, and it can be very hard to catch up afterwards. I know it says right here, oh, there's a few weeks to work on the final. That's extra time. No, it's not, because your final has a very high bar with a lot of work on it. So you really don't want to think that you have this as extra time. It's not. It's final time. Your final is worth more. All right, so if you've at any point find yourself falling behind in a way, and reach out to me, because again, we're in college, you're adults. I will not be hounding you for work. I'll check in every once in a while, but it is on you. It is on you to reach out. It is on you to communicate. I know it means you're writing an email, and I know people don't like emails, but that is what has to happen. And I'll repost it every once in a while. You can also just find me by typing in my last name into Outlook. All right, so hopefully that gives us some groundwork for logistically how the class is going to run. There's a second video right after this that talks a little bit more about grades and how the expectations work. But again, if you have any questions, please send an email. Thank you so much.